Hare Krishna, thank you so much for joining. Let's do Radha Madhav. Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Jaya Gopi Ganabhalava Jaya Giravardhari Shodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Shodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Amuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Gyan Timirasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutle Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuvetam Savadutam Krishna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatu Prehascha Kirpa Sindhu Vevicha Patitana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Ti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Parcharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasti Go Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mukham kroti vachalam, pangum langyate girim yat kirpatam vandeshi guru din taranam paramananda madam chitaneshram. Hari Om Tassat. Narayam namaskritya naram cheva naruttamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jemaduri nashta prasya aptreshu nitam Bhagavad-Sevayā Bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati nestaki. Okay, thank you so much. And we'll continue from verse 16. Last time we were talking about Vidur wanting to help Dhritarashtra. This is what this chapter is all about. And we also mentioned that he wanted to share what he had learned from the sages. And he was a son of a Shudra mother, but yet he was also qualified to a spiritual master. So there is no qualification materially who can be a spiritual master. If you have the knowledge, if you have the realization, you can be a spiritual master. And also, this was his pastime. As Yamraj, he was doing the pastime, and he was cursed by Bindu Kamani to become a Shudra in his next life, or in his life, his material body. So he was doing the pastime for Krishna. And we also said that if you are a spiritual master or a preacher, you can only convince people as much as you are convinced yourself. You cannot convince them any more than that. You can only give people what you have. You cannot give them any more than what you have. And that goes for everything, really. If you have, say, money, wealth, you cannot give anybody more than you have, right? You cannot leave your children more than you have. So like that. So we can only give what we have. Anyway, let's continue. Okay. Verse 16. Kova Bhagavatastasya punyashlokidya karmana shuddhi kamno shurnu yat yashya kali malapaham. So kaha is who pa radha Bhagavata of the Lord. Tasya is punya virtuous, shlok idya worshipable by praise, karmana deeds, shuddhi kama desiring deliverance from all sins. Now not shrinu yat does hear, yash glories, kali of the age of quarrel, mal apham the agent for sanctification. And who is there desiring deliverance?
Sorry, Prabhuji, is it the verse? Sorry.
Who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord. So the age of Kali, Srila Prabhupada explains, the age of Kali is the most condemned age due to its quarrelsome features. Kali Yuga is so saturated with vicious habits that there is a great fight at the slightest misunderstanding. Those who are engaged in the pure devotional service of the Lord, who are without any desire for self-aggrandizement, who are freed from the effects of fruitive actions and dry philosophical speculations, are capable of getting out of the estrangements of this complicated age. The leaders of the people are very much anxious to live in peace and friendship, but they have no information of the simple method of hearing the glories of the Lord. On the contrary, such leaders are opposed to the propagation of the glories of the Lord. In other words, the foolish leaders want to completely deny the existence of the Lord. In the name of secular state, such leaders are enacting various plans every year, but by the insurmountable intricacies of the material nature of the Lord, all these plans for progress are being constantly frustrated. They have no eyes to see that their attempts to add peace and friendship are failing. But here is the hint to get over the hurdle. If we want actual peace, we must open the road to understanding the Supreme Lord Krishna and glorify him for his virtuous activities as they are depicted in the page of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So that is the peace formula given here. So you cannot solve a material problem with a material solution, as Srila Prabhupada usually says. So a material problem can only be solved by a spiritual solution. Because when you solve a material problem with a material solution, you normally create some side effects. You create another problem. And one example Srila Prabhupada gives is cars. There was a problem, we need cars to get around. They're very, very important, very useful. But when you have cars, then you need car parks as well. You need bigger roads, you need more lanes. So, they create so many problems. India built that the car for 1 lakh rupees. So people, instead of riding bicycles or scooters, they could hopefully afford that car. But where do you drive it? The roads are already so tight, or so congested in India. So where you actually drive, just cause more congestion on the roads. Cycles and scooters, you can sort of swerve around and get around, but a car is a car. Although it solves one problem, but it just creates another one. The roads get very congested, so you cannot solve material problems with material solutions. If you do, you may solve that problem, but it will create some new ones. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that these leaders, they're trying to do some Taraqi for the people, but they find that you just create new problems. They want peace, but peace comes at a cost. So real formula is to glorify the Lord. When Krishna is happy, then everyone is happy. He makes the best plans for the people. We are stable in the body, stable in the mind. So that's 16. It's mentioned here. Yudhishthira and Arjun were personally guided by Krishna. He was personally there. We are not in that position. So we have that issue. We personally have no clue what the Lord wants or does not want from us. We don't really know unless we check in the scriptures. So we have to connect on a deeper level through prayer or collective decision of devotees to at least get some glimpse of what would be the plan of the Lord. Some cases it is very easy to understand the plan of the Lord. In other cases it's very difficult to understand the plan of the Lord. So for example, we know that the plan of the Lord is to spread Krishna consciousness. We can all understand that much, that Krishna wants that we should glorify his name so people can take benefit, not because he likes to be glorified, but the top reason would be that so people can benefit from his name. We don't need to pray to the Lord that please tell us what is your plan for spreading Krishna consciousness. The Lord we know wants that because he already came 5,000 years ago and personally revealed that to us. He mentions in the Bhagavad-Gita that one who spreads the Krishna consciousness is very dear to me. So certain things we can understand as the will of the Lord. We can understand Krishna's will and instructions through Srila Prabhupada's instructions in his books. So read the scriptures. Krishna tells you what he likes, what he doesn't like. He tells you what he likes to eat, what he doesn't like to eat. And he tells us again and again which kind of devotees are very dear to him. What do they do? So what you have to do to be dear to him. Attraction for material happiness is illusory and temporary. The more we understand this, the more our pleasure will come from a platform of spiritual life. As a spiritual being, our pleasure is from a service to Krishna. That's the real pleasure. Our pleasure is from devotional service. If we are still deriving happiness from material sources, then we have work to do. So if we are still attracted to Maya, that means we are not attracted to Krishna. Or, as much as the more we are attracted to Maya, the less we are attracted to Krishna. And the more we are attracted to Krishna, the less. You cannot have both. You have to be attracted to the one or the other. We are the marginal energy, so we do have the choice. But what do you pick? Do you pick a permanent solution or a temporary solution? That is the thing. Okay, 17. Tasya karmani udharani parigitani surabhihi bruhina sharda dananam lilya dadataha kalaha. Tasya, his karmani, transcendental acts, udarani, magnanimous, paragitani, broadcast, surabhi, by the great souls, bruhi, please speak, naha, unto us, Shardha-dhananam, ready to receive with respect, Lilaya, pastimes, Dadataha, advantage, Kalaha incarnations. So his transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narad sing of them. Ah, sorry, Mataji, I think you're quite right. Okay, I was wondering why they have mentioned Vidur so far. Okay, sorry, my mistake. Thank you for pointing that out. I don't know how that came about. Anyway, let's see. So we'll stop sharing that. I'm glad somebody picked that up. I didn't.
Well, I tried speaking, but I didn't, when you started the first verse, so I was hesitant, but I said it's chapter 1.
Okay. So let me just find the. But it was interesting. Maybe Krishna wanted us to look at that today.
Yes, Krishna's will.
Okay, let's go back. Okay, so we start again on the 16th. Okay, here we have too much Distro and Vidura. So Distro labda rajyo dristva putram kulan daram vritha bi loka palabahe mamude parya shriya. So Yudhishthira labda rajya, possessing his paternal kingdom, dristva by seeing, potram the grandson, kulam dharam just suitable for the dynasty, Pratharabihi by the brothers, Loka Palabahi who were all expert administrators, Mumude enjoyed life, Paraya uncommon, Shriya opulence. So having won his kingdom and observed the birth of one grandson, competent to continue the noble tradition of his family. So I don't think I've shared it. Have I shared it now?
No.
Did I share this? Yeah, just give me a second, please. I don't think I'll share this. Okay. Can you see now?
Yes.
Thank you, Anjali. Sorry about this. Yudhishthira up there. Anyway, we'll just carry on. Having won his kingdom and observed the birth of one grandson competent to continue the noble tradition of his family, Maharaj Yudhishthira reigned peacefully and enjoyed uncommon opulence in cooperation with his younger brothers. So here we are talking about peace here, peacefully and enjoyed uncommon opulence in cooperation with his younger brothers, who were all expert administrators to the common people. So Srila Prabhupada explains that both Maharaj Yudhishthira and Arjuna were unhappy from the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra. But even though they were unwilling to kill their own men in the fight, it had to be done as a matter of duty, for it was planned by the supreme will of Lord Krishna. After the battle, Maharaj Yudhishthira was unhappy over such mass killings. Practically, there was none to continue the Kuru dynasty after them. The Pandavas, the only remaining hope was the child in the womb of his daughter-in-law, Uttara, and he was also attacked by Ashwatthama. But by the grace of the Lord, the child was saved. So after the settlement of all disturbing conditions and re-establishment of the peaceful order of the state, and after seeing the surviving child, Parikshit, well satisfied, Maharaj Yudhishthira felt some relief as a human being, although he had very little attraction for material happiness, which is always illusory and temporary. So we've already been through that. Actually, this written here seems to apply more to what we were discussing before than to this. So we were talking about what Krishna wants and what he doesn't want, and we don't know. But I'm not too sure it exactly applies to this purport. But we've seen that anyway. We need to check in the scriptures, especially Bhagavad-Gita, because Krishna speaks himself about what he wants, isn't it? The rest is pastimes and about his devotees, but this is why Bhagavad-Gita is very important as well, especially for the beginners, because Krishna himself tells you his likes and dislikes, and what he wants from his devotees. So anyway, they all felt that there was somebody to carry over the name and somebody who will carry on the kingdom after them. I mean, as we've discussed before, that they're pretty old when the Mahayuddha took place. They were they're like nearly 100 or more at that battle. So they were pretty ripe age. So the kingdom came to them after a long time. So you can imagine that they suffered a lot, all the years, because they had no father from the beginning, a very young age, and they suffered in the hands of Duryodhana and company, and now at a very late stage they had the kingdom. So evam greshu saktanam parmartanam tad ihya atya kramad avigyanatha kala param dustaraha. So evam thus greshu, in the family affairs, saktanam, of persons who are too attached, parmatanam, insanely attached, tat iha, engrossed in such thoughts, atya kramat, so fast, aviginat, imperceptibly, kala, at a time, parama, supremely, dustara, insurmountable. So insurmountable, eternal time imperceptibly overcomes those who are too much attached to family affairs and are always engrossed in their thought. Okay, so this is interesting. So it's explained, I am now happy. I have everything in order. My bank balance is quite enough. I can now give my children enough estate. I am now successful. The poor beggar sannyasis depend on God, but they come to beg from me. So this is the proud person. Therefore, I am more than the supreme God. This is interesting. So when you get puffed up, when people are asking you for favors, they're asking you for help, and you don't have any wealth issues. So it says here that some people think they're above God now. Even governments, the communists, they think that don't worship God, worship the government, because we are the ones who are supplying you with everything. And I can't say for the governments, but individually, if you are able to give big donations, you are able to leave good wealth for your children, you are able to give donations to sannyasis, we should be thankful to the Lord for giving you that capability, because everything is, we not the doers, at least not, we just the desirers. So Krishna is helping us or making us capable of doing that, whether you're a good preacher, a good singer, or you can give good donation. You thank the Lord for giving you the opportunity, giving the facility. Because you got to remember that He can take that facility away very easily as well. One can easily lose their voice, and one can easily lose their wealth as well. So we have to be very careful. We don't get over proud of these things, because they can come and they can go as well. So we're just thankful to the Lord for allowing us to use these, and hopefully in His service. These are some of the thoughts which engross the insanely attached householder who's blind to the passing of eternal time. So our duration of life is measured, and no one is able to enhance it even by a second against the scheduled time ordained by the Supreme Will. Such valuable time, especially for the human being, should be cautiously spent, because even a second passed away imperceptibly cannot be replaced. even in exchange for thousands of golden coins amassed by hard labor. So you cannot buy time. Nobody can buy time. Every second of human life is meant for making an ultimate solution to the problems of life. So you cannot even buy a 1 second, let alone, when we're talking years, you cannot buy them. And every second is precious. Every second of human life is meant for making an ultimate solution to the problems of life, repetition of birth and death, and revolving in the cycle of 8.4 million different species of life. So the material body, which is subject to birth and death, diseases and old age, is the cause of all sufferings of the living being. Otherwise, the living being is eternal, and is never born, nor does he ever die. Foolish persons forget this problem. They do not know or at all how to solve the problems of life, but become engrossed in temporary family affairs, not knowing that eternal time is passing away imperceptibly, and that their measured duration of life is diminishing every second, without any solution to the big problem, namely repetition of birth and death, disease and old age. This is called illusion. So we have these issues, but we just take them for granted. Even problems in our life, we take them for granted. You might get a realization that life is suffering. You might not get, at a younger age, you might not think about that. But as you get older, you get problems, then you suddenly hits you that life is a suffering. Like Mahatma Buddha, he was well protected in his kingdom, or in the castle where he lived. He was very well protected. Everything was provided. And when he was a teenager, he went out to the people out there, and he had enlightenment. He realized that life is actually no happiness, it's suffering. We are here to suffer, not to enjoy. But we're foolish enough or under illusion, thinking that we are enjoying. But this is a prison. There's a Durga, there's a Durg, and Durga has three-pronged, what they call Trishul, with three types of miseries. Life is suffering. Life is not happiness as we believe. There's bursts of happiness, just to keep us going. Like this constant suffering, we'll probably end up killing ourselves. So there is bursts of happiness just to give us a little break. But then another problem is on the horizon. Just with small breaks in between. That's all it is. It's not that we're getting breaks from happiness, we're getting breaks from misery by little happiness. And to be honest, I was thinking this thing: birth, death, disease, old age. So what's the best career to follow? Is being a doctor. Because they can't, being a doctor, you can't, you've always been in a job, because when you're taking birth, you need doctors. Time of death, you need doctors. When you have disease, you need doctors. Old age, you need doctors. There's doctors and there's like branches of doctors that I work with these problems. So birth, death, these all problems. Birth is very fragile situation at the time. You have to make sure everything goes to plan, everything goes right. Sometimes you need doctor to intervene to make sure the delivery goes well. They have to do cesarean because there's issues, there's problems. So all these things, they are all dangerous, very dangerous. But such illusion cannot work on one who is awake in the devotional service of the Lord. Yudhishthira Maharaj and his brothers, the Pandavas, were all engaged in the service of Lord Krishna, and they had very little attraction for the illusory happiness of this material world. Yeah, they were renounced. They were very renounced, as we'll find out. As we have discussed previously, Maharaj Yudhishthira was fixed in the service of the Lord Mukunda, the Lord who can award salvation. And therefore he had no attraction even for such comforts of life as are available in the kingdom of heaven, because even the happiness obtained on the planet Brahmlok is also temporary and illusory. Because the living being is eternal, he can be happy only in the eternal abode of kingdom of God, Paravyoma, from which no one returns to this region of repeated birth and death, disease and old age. So these are the problems. And the Pandavas, they were happy with 5 villages. To stop the war, they're willing to just take 5 villages. They were happy with that. So they could just continue with their Varnashma Dharma of ruling, because that was their nature. They would happily rule a village each. They didn't want the world, the kingdom, they didn't want to be emperor or rule the world. They're happy 5 villages. So they were completely detached. They didn't have that greed. Although Arjun was, when the war was about to begin, and he asked Krishna to take the chariot between the 2 armies. Originally, Arjun was under the impression that we are fighting this war for greed. Although they were not greedy at all, but he says, Krishna, you are forcing me to fight this for greed, and I don't think that greed is worth the killing of our kinsmen, of our grandfather, of our acharyas, spiritual masters. That greed is not worth all this massacre. And that's why he didn't want to fight. He said, I don't want the kingdom. I don't want heavenly planets. I just want to go away the forest and forget all this. I don't want nothing. I just want peace. And then Krishna explained to him that you misunderstood the whole thing. You're not fighting because you're greedy, you want a kingdom. You're fighting for the dharma. This is what the dharma yudh. That's what it was all about. Not about a kingdom. They're happy with 5 villages. He says this is dharma yudh. You're fighting for a higher cause, not for fighting for a kingdom or wealth like the others king fight. This is a special war, and I'm personally involved here, and I have taken care of everything. You just be the instrument and fight. So don't worry. Therefore, any comfort of life or any material happiness which does not warrant an eternal life is but illusion for the eternal living being. One who understands this factually is learned, and such a learned person can sacrifice any amount of material happiness to achieve the desired goal known as Brahm Sukham, or absolute happiness. Real transcendentalists are hungry for this happiness, and as a hungry man cannot be made happy by all comforts of life minus foodstuff, so the man hungry for eternal absolute happiness cannot be satisfied by any amount of material happiness. So that's when you realize you are a spirit soul. Your happiness lies in feeding the soul, not the body only. Therefore, the instruction described in this verse cannot be applied to Maharaj Yudhishthira or his brothers and mother. It was meant for a person like Dhritarashtra, for whom Vidur came especially to impart lessons. So really this is why all this purport is mentioned, because this was actually about Dhritarashtra. Even after losing the war, he thinks he still has everything going for him. So just quickly, actually let's just move on because time is going. We'll go to 18 and finish there. So Vidurustad abhi pratya drishtarastam abhashata raja nirgamayatam sigram pashyadam bhyam agatam. So Vidurha Mahatma Vidur that abhi pratya, knowing it well, Dhritarashtra onto Dhritarashtra, Abhashat said, Rajan, O king, Nirmayatam, please get out immediately. Sigram, without the least delay. Pashya, just say, idam this, Bayam, fear, Agatam, already arrived. So Mahatma Vidur knew all this, and therefore he addressed Dhritarashtra saying, My dear king, please get out of here immediately. Do not delay. Just see how fate has overtaken you. So, cruel death cares for none, be he Dhritarashtra or even Maharaj Yudhishthira. Therefore, spiritual instruction, as was given to old Dhritarashtra, was equally applicable to younger Maharaj Yudhishthira. So, as a matter of fact, everyone in the royal palace, including the king and his brothers and mother, were rapidly attending the lectures. So he was preaching to them all, but it was known to Vidur that his instructions were especially meant for Dhritarashtra. So it's like sometimes somebody who's very good at giving class, they'll come and ask who's here for the first time or who's new to Krishna consciousness, like that. So they think they can target the class towards those people so they can benefit. So here, Vidur is giving this class to target Dhritarashtra, so he could understand. But does he understand? The word Rajan is especially addressed to Dhritarashtra significantly. So Dhritarashtra was the eldest son of his father, and therefore, according to law, he was to be installed on the throne of Hastinapur. But because he was blind by birth, he was disqualified for that reason from his rightful claim. But he could not forget the bereavement, and his disappointment was somewhat compensated after the death of Pandu, his younger brother. So he became king by default. His younger brother left behind him some minor children, and Dhritarashtra became the natural guardian of them, being their, elder uncle and king as well. But at heart, he wanted to become the factual king and hand the kingdom over to his sons, headed by Duryodhana. And Duryodhana was actually younger than Yudhishthira. So this is, Krishna arranges all these complications. Had Duryodhana been elder, they might not have any issues, and he could have just had the kingdom and that. But Yudhishthira was born before Duryodhana, so he was the rightful heir to the throne. And that was the rules. With all these imperial ambitions, Dhritarashtra wanted to become a king, and he contrived all sorts of intrigues in consultation with his brother-in-law Shakuni. But everything failed by the will of the Lord, and at the last stage, even after losing everything, men and money, he had lost everything. He wanted to remain as king. Being the eldest uncle of Maharaj Yudhishthira, as a matter of duty, maintained Dhritarashtra in royal honor, and Dhritarashtra was happily passing away his numbered days in the illusion of being a king or the royal uncle of King Yudhishthira. So Vidur, as a saint and as the duty-bound, affectionate youngest brother of Dhritarashtra, wanted to awaken Dhritarashtra from his slumber of disease and old age. Vidur therefore sarcastically addressed Dhritarashtra as the king, because he thinks still a king, because he was actually not. Everyone is the servant of eternal time, and therefore no one can be king in this material world. King means the person who can order. The celebrated English king wanted to order time and tide, but the time and tide refused to obey his order. Therefore, one is a false king in the material world. And Dhritarashtra was particularly reminded of this false position and of the factual fearful happenings which had already approached him at that time. Vidur asked him to get out immediately if he wanted to be saved from the fearful situation which was approaching him fast. He did not ask Maharaj Yudhishthira in that way, because he knew that a king like Maharaj Yudhishthira is aware of all fearful situation of this flimsy world and would take care of himself in due course, even though Vidur might not be present at that time. So he had full confidence in the Pandavas that they'll know what to do when the time comes. But his elder brother Dhritarashtra, he's confused and is very attached to the body, to the kingdom, to royalty, royal treatment, and he cannot let go. So when you cannot let go, then somebody has to pull you off. Really, that's the only way. You're not able to detach yourself. You need help. You need someone to pull you off. So let's just quickly see what it says here. Vidura is highlighting the urgency of getting out of here. Devotees have no excuse. They know what to do and why they need to do it. The instructions were for everyone, young and old. This time is going to come on all of us. We grow old gracefully and die blissfully. We cannot die blissfully if we are not prepared. So, however we are born, that is done. That is in the past. But we can die blissfully, and we can make sure we don't get this birth, death, old age, and disease problems after this one. So, it's up to us what we want to do. Do we want to continue with these problems and not take this for granted, say, well, this doesn't apply to me, or maybe in the next life it might apply to me. Now it applies to us right now, right here, and we've got to do something about it. Really, there is an urgency here. The house is on fire. We need to get out. And the thing is, we slack, really do slack, because it just seems, we're comfortable in our own little lives. We don't want to go out of our comfort zone. But really, when you start thinking about it, and this is the problem, we don't think about it. You start thinking about it, then you can get into a panic mode, saying, "Oh my God, this is actually true. Really need to do this." Do we want to come back again? New parents, new brothers and sisters, new friends. We've had problems probably with everyone, and we've got to go through the problems again. And we have had pain and problems, bodily problems. Do we want to go through them again? We have a choice. So why not take make the right choice? Why do we want to go through all these things again? If somebody's had a great life, well, good luck. It's not necessarily a boon, because having some problem at least will give you a reminder that life is a suffering. So thank you so much. I'll stop here, and sorry about the confusion earlier on. Actually, sometimes what happens, the program disappears, and I have to, at the last minute, I saw it had gone and it wasn't available for sharing, so I'll quickly put it back in again, but chose the wrong chapter. So anyway, we learned a bit more than we were hoping today. It's so nice, always good. So we'll ask Hina Mataji speak first, just in case she needs to leave, and then we'll ask Pundikaksh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna everyone. I think my key points from these verses were around how precious our time is in this life. And for me, I guess this is what I'm speaking to myself here, that I shouldn't get distracted or sidetracked with materialistic ambitions or goals, and that I need to keep focused on keeping the main thing, which is what I try and remind myself on a regular basis. And the main thing is Krishna Bhakti, it's our sadhana. Everything else is not as important. And I was also thinking about how people in general are always making their own plans, materialistic plan making, and we're simply just weaving our own spider's web. Then we end up just getting entangled in that web, and it just only binds us further into material miseries, and future rebirths are guaranteed, and Godma, we're basically just weaving our own misery, essentially. And these are all temporary plans as well. I think the only plan that we need to align with, that's eternal and that's permanent, is Krishna's plan. And we just need to try and follow his will, essentially. So that was it for me. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah, we follow Krishna's plan. There's less complications, though, because we just make our life more complicated than it needs to be. It's very nice, we follow in Krishna's plan. Everything's smooth, and you can see his arrangements everywhere. Even things are, backfiring, transgressing. You can see Krishna's plan. He's got something very sweet, on the horizon for us. So everything seems perfect. Now he has perfect plans. Thank you, Mataji. Pundikaksh Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All due to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Hina Mataji as well. Few points, Prabhuji. Like as Mataji said, the time is very precious, and even a bit of time that is lost cannot be replaceable. We cannot get it back, even at the cost of anything. So we have to understand the purpose of human life. I mean, after crossing over 8.4 million species, we are fortunate to get this human life. And if you don't get it right, then again, the chance of falling down, even beyond the human life again, where it becomes very difficult to come back to this position again. So many people think that successful is like getting all the money, houses, and arranging things for your sons and grandsons. But that is not actually successful, because for a human life, the purpose is to stop this continuation of coming into the cycle of birth and death and old age and disease, rather than develop that attraction for Krishna and get out of this material world. So Krishna created this material world so that we can purify ourselves coming here and develop that attraction for Krishna. I mean, Dhritarashtra is so much into sense gratification that he's very keen to hold the throne. He lost all his sons, he lost everything, but still, when Yudhishthira asked him, put him in a position as if he is the king, he is so happy. He forgot all those things, and he was enjoying to be treated like a royal king only. And that much how he is more into sense gratification, and he is not even realizing that the death is coming close now. So Vidura is reminding him that material laws are very stringent, whether it is you or anybody, everybody has to face death. Nobody can escape this. So now it is time now to prepare for the death rather than uh, prepare for enjoyment. So he is reminding him the death is coming closer. Now start preparing for yourself and understand what is the purpose of life and follow that. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, it's time for preparing for death, not not for enjoyment. Yeah, looking for enjoyment. We're looking for solutions that that can relieve us from this cycle of birth and death, and that's what is missing, basically. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Kiran Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Dhritarashtra is an example of how we're attached to illusion. And you have a choice. You can have material, temporary happiness, or you can have permanent spiritual joy. In spite of everything that happened, Dhritarashtra was still holding on to vestiges of a bit of power. This man was not suitable to be king right from the outset. But this is the nature of clinging on to what little power people have. And holding on to that little power can be quite dangerous, because that is not the solution. And so what happens is that we are so caught up in wanting to hold on to what little we have. And so we fail to realize that when the house is on fire, we need to let go. We need to get out. But we think everything's cool, everything's fine, everything's okay. And Dhritarashtra, in the end, had to be persuaded by Vidur that all was not good. And so Dhritarashtra was not fit to be king. And so, I'm sorry, I was interrupted by various people. So, and in the end, he was persuaded that, accept that this is just a temporary prison and you need to be released from here. And so this is the nature of the illusion that we're in. We may live in a house of wax, but we fail to realize that this is quite a difficult dilemma to remain in. And so we need to take the guidance of Krishna and to find a way home. Hare Krishna. Sorry about the disturbances.
That's fine, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, just give me a second. So, Parveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. How beautifully Prabhupada has shown we don't want to be like the Dhritarashtra, really attached. And despite losing everything, and he's still thinking he's the king. And Pandavas, their total dependence on Krishna, despite being so capable of doing everything right, and they're still depending on Krishna and fought the battle just for the Bhagavad Dharma, so not for their sense gratification that they have won the kingdom. So like, Mataji and Pundrikaksh Prabhu, Kiran Prabhu mentioned time. Time is valuable, and tide waits for no one. So we have seen even the wealthy people, they can't even buy a second. When the time is up, time is up. So we need to understand the purpose of life. What is our true purpose of life? It's not, enjoying our senses, but be eternal servant of Krishna to satisfy Krishna's senses and understand that Krishna, he is the proprietor. Like in the verse Prabhupada started, people think, oh, I've got this, I've got that. It doesn't belong to us. Everything belongs to Krishna. And understanding that makes our life simple. And that should be the motto of life: simple living and high thinking, higher purpose, living for higher purpose. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, I mean, this pastime of Dhritarashtra and Vidur is a lesson for all of us. I mean, Dhritarashtra, it says, is for young and old, right? So it applies to everyone, that we don't know when we're going to die. We can die young, we can die old, we don't know. So, we have to be prepared and not to be attached, to family, to our wealth, our friends. We still go through the motion, but not with too much attachments that we forget about our real purpose of human life. I think most people don't even know this, and we are blessed that at least we started to understand this, and more we can do, the better it will be for us, and be attached to Krishna, to the higher cause than the lower causes that we tend to be attached in very easily. We get easily swayed towards Maya. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My pranams to all of you. Yes, the eternal question of using the time wisely has been highlighted here in these verses. And Vidur is looking at the danger impending in front of Dhritarashtra, and that is time itself, that he has to be mindful what he's going to do with the time he has got now. But unfortunately, he had no clue, and how he has been told again and again by Vidur Maharaj, Vidurji, to explain, to Dhritarashtra about the impermanence of the time and how he has to take the action now. It's now or never. When we hear, they always say, it's this moment you have got, it's this moment you have got. It's so true, isn't it? At least in the material world also they say this thing. This is the only moment we have when we can take the name of the Lord nicely. What we have done, it's done. We don't know how badly we have been taking names of the Lord or how we've been trying. So actually we should get better, but I've seen in the case of us humans, we're always complaining that I can't chant, I find it hard to do this, that. But God must be thinking, I gave you enough time. What have you been doing with that time? But we can never say to God that, God, I was chanting badly earlier, but my chanting has become good now. God, I was remembering you in a not a nice way, but after hearing the scriptures, I have become better. In case of us humans, it's just now, this moment, we are trying our best, and we know how bad we are at that. So at least we have got Srila Prabhupada's books, Srila Prabhupada's teachings, which guide us all the time. And I think we can all say that to Lord all the time in our hearts, that Lord, I'm trying, please help me. Please help me to become better. Please help me to get me closer to you. In whichever capacity you want, I'm ready to serve you, life after life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yes, Srila Prabhupada's books is our Vidur that comes to save us. Prabhupada himself came to save us, and now we connect with Srila Prabhupada through his books, and we got to understand the meaning of life. And through his representatives, the senior devotees who come to the programs to guide us, they're all Vidur. They're all coming to help us, to tell us, how we should be leading our lives, and what the goal is. So thank you all so much, and catch up with you on Friday. Granth Rashmi Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Prem Nande, Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.